Welcome, everybody. Real superstar in the house today. I told you I'd get him. At one point, I knew I would get Mr. David. All right,
Yeah.
guys, so without any further ado, the man, the myth, the gecko hobby itself, Mr. David from Tiki's Geckos. If you've been living under a cork log or cork flat for the last 10 years. All right, so it's an honor to have you, complete honor. I mean, like, you were top three, and no offense, Alan Rapace and Philippe Dijavuju are up at the top, but you were like right
So,
there in the top three people. I wanted to get on this when I figured I was going to sit down in this new Cal adventure here. Um, Again, can you just, and I know you've told your story a million times, but can you give us a quick rundown into how Tiki's was formed, to, the gecko business, how you started and founded this empire?
yeah, thanks for having me, Anthony. I started when I was very young. I've always had a fascination for reptiles and dinosaurs and all animals. So my family and I came to the United States when I was about 9 years old. I was born in Venezuela and obviously here there's a lot more opportunity when it comes to the reptile business, reptile hobby. In South America and most of the world, it's really hard to make a living doing reptiles. But if you're in the United States, you're kind of like in the hub of reptile trading and the reptile hobby. So it was kind of like a perfect thing for me. So when I got here, I was always bugging my parents to get an iguana or some sort of animal. And I've had it all. I've had like sugar gliders. I've had all sorts of animals. But when my aunt actually married an American guy that he used to breed snakes and he used to breed Burmese pythons and boas and all these cool things. So he was already integrated into the hobby. And when he kind
Mm.
of saw my passion, he set out to get me a bearded dragon. He sent it to me. He purchased it and then had it shipped to me. And then I got that bearded dragon. That just started the whole obsession. I just how it is when you get one animal, it's like you fascinate over that species, and then you look at other species and you go to a reptile show and your mind just opens completely. So that's how I got into reptiles. And then shortly after, he actually took me to a reptile show where I saw my first crested geckos. And I still remember to this day, I've told this story a couple times in other podcasts, but it was a Repticon Orlando, and I had a guy there. I wish I remembered his name or who he was, but he gave me a red patternless female with a nice big crowned head, and he put it on my hand. And from that moment on, I was obsessed with crested geckos. I went back home, I researched them, and then in the next couple of years, I was just acquiring geckos and just trying to grow the business. Um, Once I did acquire a bunch of geckos, there was an opportunity that came up where uh, uh, another breeder called Anthony Caponetto had a wholesale pack for 50 geckos for $1,500. And I was in high school at the time, so I didn't have that money. I told my parents I would like to get these geckos. It'll be kind of like a mini investment. I will sell any of the geckos that I don't want, and I will keep the ones I want. And the ones that I sell, I'm going to sell for at least double of what I paid. All right. So I was the original flipper. So I did
That's
that.
awesome, man. That's awesome.
I kept. I kept the geckos, and then that's what started like the actual business. That's when I started getting serious into it.
So you had a business mind right from the beginning. You were like, this is a business. This is not just a whatever. I mean, this was a. I mean, it sounds like even from a kid, it was kind of like a dream. You were going to make this passion your life one day. I think that's brilliant. Did you have any like role models? I know your uncle, but like anybody in the hobby, was there anyone doing geckos big time when you first started? Shit.
The only people that were doing geckos big time The only people that were doing geckos big time was AC Reptiles, Anthony Caponetto, the one who I got the original wholesale pack from. And I want to say Pangea. At that
We
time,
lost him.
it was just
He's
these two.
back. Come on.
Can you hear me? We specialize in all the New Caledonian geckos, blue tongue skinks, and we sell a wide variety of different reptiles now. But my main passion is the New Caledonian geckos.
So how? I know you've been doing this for a long time. I mean, you're literally the person that got me into this. I mean, there was no gecko hobby until I discovered you and what you were doing. How did you fall into this empire? How did you? What triggered this lifestyle that you have?
Yeah, so when I was very young, when I was just into reptiles and dinosaurs, I think like most of us that are in the hobby. And fortunately for me, I had an uncle that was already in the reptile breeding hobby, so he would keep Burmese pythons, boa constrictors, and all that. And when he found out that I was into reptiles and I wanted an iguana, he thought it was a better idea to send me a bearded dragon. So he sent me the bearded dragon, and that just got the whole snowball rolling, man. And you know how it is, like
Mm.
that obsession grows into so many other species. And I remember I went to a reptile show and I held my first crested gecko with it was a red female with a nice crowned head. And after I went home from the reptile show, I just started researching crested geckos left and right. I shortly after got my crested gecko, and then a couple years after I convinced my parents to loan me $1,500 to buy a wholesale pack of 50 geckos from AC Reptiles. And I told them that I could sell the animals that I didn't want to keep for more than, what we paid for each. And then I could keep the ones I did want to breed. And that's basically what started my colony. But I was collecting from all sorts of breeders back then.
Not for nothing, but when I before I got into, I've been into reptiles my whole life too. Like, I got married and things changed. There was no more snakes. My wife wasn't having it. No snakes, no big lizards. I was a Burmese python, green anaconda, Nile monitor guy. Alligators in my living room in a plastic swimming pool. No bullshit. Got married. She was like, done. You're not having any snakes. So I really went like 2 years without anything. And then I got her to, and it sounds ridiculous, but I was watching the show on TV called, it was a CRISPR, unnatural selection on Netflix called Unnatural Selection. And it was about CRISPR, gene editing, and they were just people in their backyards, and they were taking these frogs and they were breeding them to like glow and taking traits from one frog and putting it into another frog, and they were doing this in their backyard. So I was like, wow, like that's like super crazy. Imagine I can make a frog with you know real different feet, gecko feet, like weird stuff. So I'm like, this is interesting. So I started collecting frogs. A lot of them started dying. Frogs are hard to keep, right? Like, not
Yeah.
for nothing, but they're very complicated. You have to keep the water pHs and everything perfect, or else it's a headache. So some of the money I was spending on them wasn't worth it. So I started looking for something else. And ironically, I'm at a reptile show with my kid, and she's a little diva, and we're walking around and we're looking at these geckos, and every table had them, right? This is like 2018, 2019. Every table had these crested geckos, and I'm there looking for like waxy tree frogs, like weird random stuff. So she's like, what are those, what are those? And I'm like, I don't know, they're ugly, let's go, keep moving. So she walks over to a table, and I turn around and I see her holding one. So the guy that told her about these things must have said they're eyelash geckos. And her being this little diva, little cheerleader girl, fell in love with these things, right? So she had to have one. Me being a reptile guy, her not being, and I wanted, as a parent to get her into something that I liked, I wound up getting her one, right? Knew nothing about him. So when I started researching these things, you were the first person I found, right? Like the first person. So fast forward a couple of months, she gets tired of him, wants nothing to do with him. I have these geckos. So I'm like, damn, I bought these things. What do I do? Like, can I do anything? And I seen you were breeding them. You were making, morphs and traits and putting these videos about it. And then I seen some other research and found this whole Instagram social media world, and same thing. It took off from there. But the point, in all honesty, that I said all of that was I did the same thing that you did, right? Like I believe in modeling. Find someone that succeeds at something really, really well, and let them make the mistakes, right? Do everything that this person that succeeded did without his mistakes. It's an actual real thing called modeling, I guess. I read about in the art of, what is it, 48 Laws of Power? 48 Laws
Yeah,
of Power book.
I
So
got that book. I got that book right there.
there you go. Robert Greene, right? I read all of them. The Art of War, 48 Laws of Power. Uh, what's the Art of Persuasion?
Yeah,
I read all the whole series. Great reads. Well, great books. The way they write them up with the historical stuff and
yeah.
awesome books. But nonetheless, I saw that you bought these lots of geckos from AC's Gecko. So I did the same thing. I brought this big number, like 30 geckos or 40 geckos, and picked the ones that I liked and raised them and sold off the other ones. And again, I guess I say all that because I'm just like I have to thank you for paving the way, man. You have paved the way and made this gecko hobby accessible for everybody, for children, for adults. I mean, I'm not assuming that everybody could just be Tiki's geckos, right? Like that takes a lot of work, takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time, a lot of things that not everybody's willing to do. But at the same time, you've kind of taken us along with you, right? Like I remember your first videos of you recording in a small room, talking crap on Facebook Lives, right? Like it was very personal. You've grown throughout this hobby and you've never got smug, dude. You've never been mean or standoffish. You're always trying to settle debates and be a mediator and it's just Gecko's thing and everything you do is very there you go. See? Absolutely. It's like you're literally a paragon of the hobby, and it's inspirational again, like I said, to see that someone with your success has still stayed humble this whole time. You help people, you don't ignore other people, you're not like an elitist, some you probably know this, but there's a lot of clicky stuff in the gecko hobby, right? A lot of people are super clicky, and if you're not in this clique, your work, your studies, your observations, experiments are irrelevant because they didn't have to do with us. You don't do that. You buy geckos from everybody. You comment on people that do good work. You answer questions. I mean, what in your life has made you this humble, David? Why? I gotta ask why. Why are you such a humble person?
Um, well, Anthony, I put things into perspective. I wasn't. I think I mentioned this to you already, but I was born in Venezuela, and I came here when I was 9 years old. The reason I came to this country was because when we were in my country, our family got persecuted. I saw people put big guns to my mom's head. I saw them tie her up. I saw, all these things. And from one month to the other, I had to come to the United States without anything. Nobody, we didn't know anybody here. We just came. So I have I have a lot of perspective, and I was lucky to be raised by two wonderful human beings that supported me the whole way, and they taught me a lot. And that's what made me the person that I am today. So that's why I say like chill is just geckos because I mean I've I feel like I've lived different things that when people get all upset or all stressed out about if this person in the hobby sold this gecko or didn't sell it and or little petty things like that doesn't bother me at all. I've also grown up doing martial arts, so I was very disciplined as a kid. Never, I martial arts will humble you real quick also. So it doesn't matter how good you are. There's always somebody out there that's better. And then the second you start to think, "Oh, my shit doesn't stink." Somebody will make you realize that you're just a human as well. So
Facts.
that's why I'm the way I am.
That's it's you gave me goosebumps, brother. You gave me goosebumps, and I always not, and I'm not trying to be political by any means, but with the national debate with all of these with immigrants and immigration and stuff, man, I am constantly telling people the best Americans in my life have been immigrants, man. They love this country and respect this country more than 85% of the people born on this soil. These people
Yeah.
that come from other countries and come from situations similar to what you came from, come here and want to contribute. They're not taken. They just want opportunity, man. They want opportunity. They want to make a better life. My family, not nearly as close as yours, but my family came from Italy, man. They came from Italy. They came here with nothing. They were living in the slums. It was terrible, you know? And you're absolutely right, you know, I mean, I don't need to say it. You said it. I mean, that makes for living a lifestyle like that and coming here. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's unfortunate that it went the way it did. You had to see things that you saw, but things like that at a young age will make a strong, grown, real man, you know, and martial arts as well. Beautiful, beautiful disciplines, you know, beautiful discipline. And again, those are, I'm sure, you know, naturally a lot of those things helped to your success. You know, it takes discipline to build a company the way you build a company and do what you do and stick to the script. And not a lot of people do that. You know, we see people start real fast and then they're selling collections, you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
judging anybody. It's the last thing I want to do, but it takes discipline. You know, people just think they're going to buy a gecko and, you know, everybody's going to buy my geckos. I see geckos all the time, and not for now, I'm sure you do too. But people breed and make some incredible animals, right? Incredible animals, but they're not big time breeders. They're not famous people. They're not big names, and they don't really get a lot of the attention that they should for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe they're not branding themselves. Maybe they're not. I don't know, but they still make beautiful animals. What advice would you give someone that's, you know, working on, you know, these little projects, making some incredible animals? What steps could someone take to get exposure? Like, how would someone say, you know, look at my stuff? What would you tell somebody that was starting out or had something really really nice they were working on and kind of wanted the world to see?
I would say you figure out first what you want to do. Do you want this to be a full-time job? Do you want this to be a hobby? Because either way, it's gonna, if you want this to be a full-time job, then you're gonna have to do a little bit more research and put more thought into it than if you're just doing this as a hobby. And it's not to say that me as someone who does this full time is better than somebody that does it as a hobby. It's just that we have to we have to strategize differently. For example, one of my biggest things I do on a day to day is social media marketing. And with social media in particular, it's not so much like, you know, like quality, it's quantity sometimes.
Mm.
So obviously you're always striving to get better, but the name of the game is consistency and being in front of somebody all the time, because that's how they keep you fresh. That's how you stay fresh in somebody's mind. So if you're one that you want to grow your business, but you only post once a week because you're trying to be perfect, you're trying to take the perfect pictures, perfect lighting, all these things, that ends up hurting you in the long run, because sometimes it's better to just take the quick cell phone picture and post something than it is to stage this whole, background and do all this extra stuff to take a picture, because that oftentimes gets people to not actually do it. So it just depends. You got to figure out what you want to do. If this is a hobby, try to keep your numbers small because it's going to get overwhelming quick. Try to focus in on what you really, really like, not what is trending, not what you think will sell at a higher price. And ultimately, that's the best way to enjoy it, honestly.
That's awesome. That's great advice, man. And not for nothing, you do it well. You do it. You are the master of that. You are. And when I tell people and talk to people, like you are the face of the gecko hobby, right? Like it was almost like in big, like a weird thing to introduce you, right? Because there's nobody that's going to ever see this that doesn't know who you are, right? Like you are the face of geckos. And now that you're doing, you know, so much. I mean, obviously, I mean, it's what's your plan for the future with tikis? Well, I know you have the the gold standard gecko club, which I want to get into. And I know this year at Flora Fauna, I guess I haven't heard from you directly, but you're now doing other species. You're going to do gargs this year as well.
Yeah, yeah. So we're doing gargoyle geckos at Flora Fauna. We're gonna do the main crested gecko categories, and then we're adding one more category, which is gargoyle geckos, which will kind of like encompass any morph of gargoyle geckos.
Okay.
So just the
Okay.
best gargoyle geckos will
Okay.
compete.
Okay, awesome. So when you set, and a lot of people have asked this, and I've seen it in chats and whatnot, and naturally there's always controversy, right? Like, people are saying, well, who's to say what the perfect gecko is? Who's to judge and say that that gecko is better when I like this and I like that? Where and how did you come up with I guess, the standards for the crested geckos in the gold standard gecko club, or with the gold standard gecko club, which I love, by the way. I think it's phenomenal. I love dogs. I'm big into dogs. I love pedigrees. I think that you are literally changing the damn game with this, man. And I knew it. Go back and look at your original post, man. I'll be the first one on there saying how brilliant it was, dude. You will change the game. People want to talk about lineage and all this. Go flat out pedigree style, man. Take this thing to a dog world type of thing if you really want to get big with it, man, and you're doing it, which is brilliant. But again, where and how did you come up with the standards, like the breed standard, if you will?
Yeah, so originally when this idea started floating in my head, I kind of um based it on the standards that people use for dogs. So I would see like with dogs, for example, they would say, you want a scissor bite, you don't want overbites or underbites, you want a nice top line, you want nice tight feet for the dogs, right? So I kind of took all this stuff and kind of like made it for geckos. And I also, talked to a lot of different breeders that have been in the hobby for a long time. Basically, everybody that I talked to has been in the hobby for at least 10 years plus. And we were just kind of like bouncing ideas and certain things. And most of the stuff is, I think, 90% of people would agree on it. Like I said, the overbite versus underbite thing. We don't want any animals that have slight overbites or underbites. We don't want animals with any kinks. We don't want any polydactyl geckos. Now, by the way, polydactyl is not necessarily anything that's going to hinder the animal, but when we're thinking of a perfect crested gecko and perfect symmetry and all these things, we want to make sure like the gecko is just as textbook as possible. Um, Another thing, now with like the crest size and like the snout length, for example, that's more subjective. Uh, it was what I from my 15 plus years or close to 20 years in the hobby, from what I've seen throughout this time in the forums and the groups and Facebook, and what people like, what people buy, what people talk down about, what people talk good about, and also from my experience of looking at generational development of the species, I started to notice, for example, that certain animals, when they were too closely related, the snouts started getting shorter and shorter. Okay? Now, with dogs, for example, there is there's, I forgot the exact term, I can't even say it properly, but something cephalic or whatever, that which basically means when the snout gets too close, the dog starts having breathing issues.
Yep.
Okay? And that goes that doesn't just apply to dogs. That goes through to a lot of different species. And I started seeing that snout shorten and shorten with the
Ah,
crested geckos. And with the snout getting shorter, I also saw the eyes getting bulgier. So it looks like it gives the appearance that the eyes are much bigger. And some geckos actually have much bigger eyes that don't look
yeah.
proportionate to their body. So when I've looked at, man, hundreds of thousands of geckos, and whenever I see go through these geckos, the ones that I'm more drawn to are the more proportional animals. animals. I've seen animals that have short arms. I have seen animals that have a short back. And of course, I have animals that I've seen that are wild caught. I've seen animals that are F1, F2 animals. I have F1, F2 animals. So
Oh, sure.
I kind of know what and obviously seeing online wild crested geckos, I kind of know what the body proportions of a crested gecko should be. Now, the only thing that I would say that why, like for example, with the structure of the head, everybody across the hobby kind of agrees that they like a wider crest instead of a very narrow crest. So I made that part of the standard because ever since I got into the hobby, that's what everybody talked about. Now, in the
Sure.
wild, obviously in the wild, the geckos don't have that wide, I mean, that wide crest. They have a narrow head. But because we are breeding for the hobby, we're breeding for the pet trade, we're kind of molding this thing to look like how we like it. Same thing with
Yep.
the colors and patterns, right? I
Hmm.
mean, there's no crested gecko out there that has the colors and patterns that we breed for in the wild. So it's the same
Sure.
kind of idea. We want this nice triangular head. We want these bright colors, these really intricate patterns. And ultimately, the animals that win competitions are the animals that most of the people that have experience with these geckos are, leaning towards. So, yeah, there's always going to be people that have different opinions, and I'm fine with that. I always encourage, listen, if you think we should have short snout geckos or whatever, then talk to me. I'm open. I'm here to debate if you want to. As long as people don't come at me with disrespect, I'm totally fine with it.
It's
But
awesome.
that's
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 awesome.
basically where the idea originated.
Beautiful. It holds in my eyes, and even the whole time I've always thought this. It holds people to a higher standard, right? When you set standards, because we all, and I'm not knocking anybody. This is not what I'm trying to do, but we see people that take animals and breed them that probably shouldn't, right? Like you're just producing a plethora of geckos that we don't need. Nobody needs them. Nobody's going to want them. Like, so by setting standards, you kind of it should be, I hope, inspiring people to breed better animals, just like the dog world, like horses, like everything else out there, chickens, everything that's produced for us. We look for certain characteristics. We like to pick the best genetics possible to make the strongest, soundest, healthiest animals. And it's been happening since the beginning of time. Humans have been doing this. So I
Yeah,
think that it's about time someone sets the bar, and who else better than you? I think it's beautiful. I commend you on it 100%. I think that in time, I know you got to do the work, and I know you're doing it, and I understand it's not easy, and maybe some kickback from some people, but it's taking traction. You're making some traction with this, and people seeing the animals that won. You know, it's so good. It's so good for the hobby, man. It's literally taking
yeah,
it to the next level, right? Like you've literally set the bar and inspired and intrigued people to make similar animals, right? Like stop producing things that have no crests or no colors or no any, like if you don't have a goal and you're just making animals, where do they go? You've had crested geckos way longer than I have, and I see what one pair will do in a year. One pair by accident will make you 20 something babies, man. Like, where do they all go?
yeah.
You know?
And I just want to make it clear, it's not that I'm like certain people I don't have the mindset of trying to control people and telling them what they can and can't do. So it's not to say I'm like, hey, don't breed those geckos. To be honest, if you want to breed or what I consider ugly geckos, go ahead and do it. And some people, like, let's say like your daughter or something, let's say she was interested and then what she had got was two like very basic looking geckos. I can't frown upon your daughter for
Oh,
for breeding those geckos because that experience will teach
learn.
her something
Yes.
and will take
Yes.
her to a different place. But
Yes.
what I was trying to do with this is to show people, hey, Like, this is, look at the direction that this is going. Let's just make sure it goes this direction. Because
For sure.
I even had a lot of breeders, like expert level breeders, that were telling me, I've actually never even thought about this. Or I'm looking at the standard and I'm looking at some of my collection, and it's making them think. It's making those gears turn. So that was the
Yeah.
whole point of it. And if we're doing that, if we're doing responsible breeding, because now we're a little bit more aware of what could go wrong, then I think at the end, we're just going to make better geckos. And it's going to, like you said, it's going to give people a target. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
kind of know where to go and what to look
Goal.
for when they're breeding their
Huh?
animals.
Sure. Goal. And again, for anyone that's listening, I want to be clear. I'm not judging anybody. I'm not judging anybody. If you have animals that you think are beautiful, breed your animals. Learn. As long as you're learning and you're making progressions within your own collection, and you're doing something that you enjoy, God bless you. I'm not saying don't do it. If you're breeding healthy animals, God bless you. Again, you just have to be conscious and aware of all the animals you will make and what you're going to do with them. It's and it happens fast, right? Like real fast. So again, these are just standards that David has set. These are breed standard, goals. A place for us to see what we can achieve. And again, if you're learning, I'm all for everybody learning. Don't let anyone tell you any different. It's I mean, it is what it is. So what have you added any new categories? Can you just give me a quick rundown on what categories you actually have? What categories are in it now for the crested geckos, and if there's anything else you may be thinking about adding, or what type of feedback you got after your first show? Any changes you may have made?
Yeah, so the categories we have primarily for, especially for this upcoming show, are crested gecko categories. So we have an Axanthic, lily white, cappuccino, red base, yellow base, harlequin, pinstripe, phantom, Dalmatian, and a gargoyle gecko category. Okay, and then we also do a best of show where we take all of those categories, and then the winners of all of those categories kind of like compete, and based on a point system, and then whoever gets the highest pointage of those categories will win the best of show.
I think that's so
Now,
cool.
yeah, I love it, man. And last year it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to, get this show going. This next one here in May in Florifauna. And then we're gonna do another one in August here in Florida, Daytona Beach, National
Nice.
Reptile Breeders Expo. But eventually I want to get to do, not just gargoyle geckos, not just crested geckos. I would like to do Lichianis, Chihuahua, leopard geckos, African fat tail geckos. I want to do it all, but that's going to take some time. I have to start with, there's the crested gecko game right now is blowing up. There's so many new breeders, and that was part of the reason why I also thought this was perfect timing, because a lot of these new breeders need some direction. And
Yes.
eventually we will do more categories, but because this whole thing is being funded by me, it's it's not very profitable, to be honest. So if I do one of these shows, I could be making a lot more money if I did it as Tiki's Geckos, basically, but I can't do both. So if I'm doing it as gold standard, and this thing is not, I'm trying to make it more profitable, but I also don't want to kill people with fees and all these things. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure it out. Maybe we're working with more sponsors and stuff. But as I grow this thing, we'll start to add more categories as more people find out about it, as more people get behind it. I'm sure, I'm hopefully in the next 5 years or so, we could have like an event that we put on ourselves, and I'm not just piggybacking off of reptile shows.
I believe you, man. I believe you, and I have faith in you, man. And for anybody that's out there watching that may not know what the Gold Standard Gecko Club is, check it out. Look at it. You have a web page, right? Isn't there? There was somewhere where I was reading about, So check it out. Check it out on IG. Google it. Look up the Gold Standard Gecko Club. Support it, guys. It's a beautiful thing that David's doing for us, man. He's doing this for us. He's giving us some direction. and some standards that we should try to live by. And he's not profiting, man. This is for us. All the time he's put into this is for us out here, the little guy, the guy doing nothing but breeding for fun, even for the big time breeder. But for the
Yeah,
majority of us, you have to be honest, the majority of the gecko world, it's just small people that do it for
yeah.
fun, right? Like it's I don't ever think about selling geckos, man, and I bred thousands at this juncture. I breed lychees, chihuahuas, sarahs, mainlands, and pine islands. I mean, the chihuahuas. I breed everything from New Caledonia. Just got the Velardis over here. But I would never sell anything. But I look at you guys that are doing this, and you guys are, my idols, right? Like I watch what you do, and it's inspiration. It's what keeps me going, and I'll never be able to thank you enough. I don't think you realize how much you influence the hobby, right? So I talked to Scott, and obviously you did a little video with Scott down at Miami Art Geckos the other day, and he had asked me to mention to you that you saved his life. So I told him I would do it. But do you ever recognize it? Do you ever feel like what you've done for people? Does it ever register in your head that you've saved lives, you've given direction? I know guys that were flat out drunks, bro. Flat out drunks that credit you for their sobriety and them keeping animals. And they're not even gecko guys. My buddy keeps something totally different. But he watches you and your shows and all the your IG reels, and he's not that I'm pushing religion on anybody, but he goes to church now, and he's sober for over a year, and he thanks you. Scott, myself included, man. Like you have literally influenced people you've never. And I have met you at the first floor of fauna. I came up with Kenny, but there's people's lives that you have permanently changed, man. Do you ever recognize it? Do you ever feel it?
Um, so to be honest, I'm not
You're too
I'm
humble.
I'm not
You're
one to
too humble.
sit back and like look and think about all these things too much. I'm always kind of like looking at what needs to be done. But obviously I talked to Scott, and then he did say that to me, and that gave me goosebumps, and that made me feel some type of way. It's I sometimes I look at, like, I have friends that are cops, I have friends that are firefighters and all these things, and I'm like, damn man, I'm just a gecko breeder. Like I don't do shit. But 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 just like me, there's a lot of people that their whole kind of like world and love for life and everything comes from the passion of these animals. So every now and then I remind myself that, you know, that what I do is not is it's obviously very niche, and it's not like I'm not like directly saving people by any means. I wouldn't say that, but there's a lot of power in what we all do, because you may sell a gecko to somebody that never even heard of me or never had a crested gecko before, and that little gecko will give them so much happiness. And I actually mentioned that recently to some of my I do like a group meeting with gecko breeders and stuff, and I mentioned that to them. I said, don't like underplay what we do. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of like passion that we kind of like push, and it goes through, and people feel it, and it changes people's lives for the better.
For
But
sure.
yeah, it's really crazy. I mean, I just myself, I mean, I wanted to do a lot of other things, but my main thing always has been animals. And every single day I wake up and I'm so thankful I get to do this, and I'm playing with the animals, and it's giving me this life, and I'm just so appreciative with the universe that these little geckos, these little freaking things with one brain cell have allowed me to do all this. So yeah.
It's beautiful, man. Again, I guess you're too humble, too modest to ever really see, man. But your public image, the things that you have done, have absolutely saved and changed real humans' lives, bro. And it's on everyone's behalf that you have. I'm thanking you. It's you've taken this fame, if you will, right? You were absolutely famous, right? Like you were very well known person,
Deco
and you,
famous.
it is what it is, man. Reptile hobby's huge. I know plenty of people that don't keep geckos that know who Tiki is. Like it's snake keepers. All these people, hot people, my buddies that keep hots, they don't keep geckos. These dudes have gaboon vipers and cobras. They know who the hell Tiki is, man. Like it's if you keep reptiles, you know who you are. You have a huge influence, man. And again, it's super cool to see how humble you are about it, but also super interesting to look at it from my perspective and know what you do to us out here, the masses, and it's beautiful. Cool. So you're a father now. Congratulations. I like to congratulate you, man. Beautiful son, beautiful boy, man. I'm so happy for you and your girl, man. Really cool to watch you guys become parents, man. You're doing great. You're gonna do great. How's it feel, man? How's it feel being a pop now?
Man, it's I know it's like cliche and everybody says it, but it is just an indescribable feeling. Um, there's nothing else like it, and at the same time, you feel so like powerless sometimes because you're like, oh my God, like if something goes wrong, like I'm responsible for all this, and like I want everything to go perfect. But it does put things into perspective. It makes life a million times better. It's just incredible.
Happy for you, man. Happy for you. I mean, it's like, and you did this, man. You did this. Look where you came from. Like you said earlier, I'm going to talk about it again, but you see what you've come from to where you made it, man, to where you are. And I'm sure it's not over, right? Like
No.
you have done some incredible things, inspired lots of people along the way. What plans? What do you have? What do you have planned in the future for Tiki's Geckos? I know we talked a little bit about the Gold Standard Gecko Club, but what's your plan for Tiki's as a whole, as an empire? Where do you want to take that and say the next 5 years? What do you envision doing with the business?
So I personally, I when I was starting out, I had this thing in my mind that I wanted to produce like really large quantities. Now I've kind of like switched, and I'm like, because as my collection has grown, I've kind of like seen more of that side of things, and I'm like, I actually just like to work with some particular groups. I like every single freaking animal, but I'm also like, I need to like hone down on what I like the most, and instead of going, mega and having a massive, um, like a massive operation, I kind of like where my operation is right now because I'm not too hands off. I still go in there and sometimes feed certain animals or go through animals and look at it. And I mean, that's not my main job now. Like, I don't regularly feed animals, I don't regularly call customers and all these things. So, but I do it sometimes. So I know that if it keeps growing, it'll be to a point where I eventually don't even get time to do that at all, and I just don't want to take it there. I
Okay.
I like what we have right now. I like the team that we have. There's just what I really want to do is perfect the team that we have right now. So we have, you know, a lot of our outdoor enclosures that we're redoing, that we're rebuilding. We have a lot of breeding groups that are being redone, as in like we're putting new blood in. So that's what I'm really excited about. It's more refinement than it is like expansion for me at this
Awesome.
stage.
Awesome. How many species do you guys work with? What I know, obviously you focus on, primarily on new cow stuff, but Tiki's is much bigger, right? Like what other animals are you producing over there for somebody that may not know?
We produce a lot of blue tongue skinks. We produce uh, a lot of random stuff like jeweled lacerdas. We have rhino iguanas, redfoot tortoises, carpet pythons, boas.
Oh shit. I
We're
didn't
a
even know that myself, bro.
Yeah, I
I
mean
tell you, okay.
we're a little bit of a Noah's Ark, just because of our passion for these animals. Like,
Yeah.
we don't just like geckos, we like everything. And so instead of just getting one and being like, oh, we have a pet this, we're like, okay, well, let's just get a pair and we breed them and we sell the babies since we are a business. So that's how we kind of justify keeping a lot of the different stuff. But
Yeah.
the bulk of it is going to be like day geckos, blue tongue skinks. We have a lot of like pectinat, like spiny tail iguanas.
You still breeding chameleons? You have chameleons outside?
Yeah, so we don't breed chameleons, but we do sell chameleons. We do have some outside. We keep them outside when we have them.
I love
We,
that outside stuff, man. That's such
yeah,
a
it's a no-brainer
oh
here.
man. Yeah, my buddy Frank, Frank Calachico, he's over in Cali. He does the same thing with these outdoor enclosures, man. And it's from what I gather, it's a different life for these animals, man. Like they can follow the sun in the sky. They're it's so much better for the animals, man. I hear that it works miracles. And you're between you, Frank Payne, Frank over in California, you guys are like the innovators of that, right? Like putting animals outside. I mean, it's something that seems so simple but yet so brilliant, man. Like it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's been done. I feel like I just put it on YouTube so
Publicized it.
people see
Yeah,
it. But
made it public.
I've learned a lot from a lot of people here in Florida on how to do things because I have so many friends I've met through this reptile hobby that have taught me so much, and I kind of like just, copy paste. So yeah, there's nothing better than like natural sunlight for them. And obviously, not everybody can provide that, but since I am in Florida, I might as well keep a lot of this stuff outside.
I'm coming, brother. I'm coming. I got a couple things that keep me up here in Connecticut. But listen, I'm on my way to Florida, bro. My wife's family is over in Newport or Port St. Lucie. I
Port
got,
St. Lucie.
my family. I went to Boca to Lynn University in Boca Raton, when I was younger going to school. So I spent a lot of time down in Florida and like it's my goal. I just have some family members I take care of. My grandmother, love her to death. My grandmother, it sounds crazy to people. My grandma's my best friend, man. I cannot leave my grandma. My grandfather passed away and she's here. So I gotta stay, man. I can't go. But the second, God forbid, and I'll be patient, but the second I have the opportunity, man, I'm coming to Florida, man. Animals outside, big tiki style fucking ranch. Oh shit. So we
Yeah,
talked
man.
about animals and some of the tiki stuff, and I hope you don't mind I ask this question, but who's David outside of animals? Outside of tiki's the brand. Who's David? What do you do? What's your life about? What are some things you enjoy? What are some things you maybe don't like? What does your life look like, man?
I mean, 90% of my life revolves around reptiles and animals. That's what I really, really look forward to on a day to day. Aside from that, I touched on it. I love martial arts. I love MMA, UFC, all that stuff. I'm a big UFC fan. I don't really, I'm a little boring. I don't really watch movies. I don't really watch shows. I don't
Yeah, no
really
time
go,
for that shit.
yeah, I don't go out so much. I like going out and eating and stuff, like for dinners with my wife or with friends and talking. I like smoking cigars. Uh,
There you go.
but yeah.
I see you like the pew pews, huh? I see the other day you
Oh
posted
yeah,
you
yeah,
like
yeah.
the pew.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
I like to go shooting occasionally. It's fun, yeah.
America, man. Fuck yeah, man. That's what it's
Yeah,
about. That's
exactly.
awesome. So you lucked out with the wife, huh? Your wife is big into animals too, right? In other words, like towards like conservation and rescues and whatnot. But how have you known her forever? I mean, like you guys are make a great power couple with these animals, man. I mean,
Yeah, so I actually met her. I a mutual friend of ours set up a trip to California, with a bunch of like Florida animal people that we went to California. We did a lot of behind the scenes stuff at different facilities, at the San Diego Zoo, at Avian, Behavior, like a bunch of not just reptile stuff, like all animal stuff. And there's, just all sorts of animal people. My friend, his name is Lewis, and his company is Birds and Exotics of the World. He does a lot of reptiles, but he's mostly into birds and like raptor birds. We
okay.
had Blake from Blake's Exotic Animal Ranch here, like just a random group of animal people that just love animals. and he sets these, these trips, and that's where I met her. Um, and we just we hit it off, and then after we came back to Florida, she needed a job, and I was hiring because COVID just blew us up a lot. It made our business grow a lot, and I was hiring a couple people at that time. And she was like begging me, like, I need a job, I need a job. And initially I was kind of like just blowing her off because what I needed was somebody to clean cages. And I was like, I'm not gonna put this pretty girl to clean some gecko shit, So, but she was like, no, that you don't know me. I work with animals. I know, like, she's used to that. She's worked with animals all her life, so she was used to cleaning
That's
and
awesome,
doing all
man.
that
You
stuff.
guys make a great couple, man. She's a very wonderful girl, man. I follow her on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, man, and she's just you're very lucky, man. She's a great,
Thank
great
you,
girl. She's gonna be a great mother, man. You guys make an awesome team, dude. Which is
thank
ironic.
you.
I bought a gecko from you when I first got into this, and it was shipped UPS to my house, and it died. It died in the box, right?
Hmm.
She handled it. Your wife is who I dealt with, and she was a beast. She took care of everything. She handled it all. She was so pleasant, like it was. I did nothing. I did nothing. UPS showed up late. Unfortunately, the gecko was dead. You, I spoke to you actually. You picked one out and sent me a replacement. He's still up here, man. He's a beast.
Yeah.
But it was
Was
how
it
you
a
find your
delay? Was it a delay?
the second one was. But and I actually posted it on my YouTube page. It was a delay and it showed up 5 days late. And you guys resent the first one UPS. It died. Second one FedEx. This is before I even knew to go pick up at Hubs. I knew nothing about the gecko world.
Yeah.
And when it came to my house, it was delayed. The gecko was alive, man. I took a video of it. I was like, there's no way it's gonna be alive. That joker hopped out of the box, man, out of the cup, man. It is what it is. And like I said, he's still up there and his name is Tiki. He's here. Yeah,
Nice.
but my point is how awesome your wife handled it. She
Yeah.
just great business. So I have the opportunity to see who you are publicly on social media, and I've had the pleasure of doing business with you. I bought one of my badass Chihuahuas from you. Um, Love him. He's first season breeding. I bought him as a baby from you, but it's his first season. I just got the first clutch from that Chihuahua. So I had the privilege of doing business with you, man, like buying animals from you as a nobody, and it was always flawless. I had nothing but great, service and treatment, man. I mean, you run a very smooth operation, man. Your business is cool, dude. And I'm sure it's not easy. I'm sure a lot of things go a different route than you planned. And life is all about making adjustments, and you do that well. You fix the issues, you get things taken care of, and it's you give us guys out here a great example of what a business should be, how a business should be run, how people should be treated. You didn't know me from Adam, bro. When this thing happened, I talked to you. You were like, I'm gonna go back. I don't have anything like that, but I'm gonna find something similar for you. You showed me two pictures of two different geckos. I picked the one out. You did this. You did that. The man who owns this whole business took the time for nobody me to buy my second or third gecko at that juncture, right? Never
Yeah.
forget it, man. It'll never go away. I'll never ever forget that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think what people think, like you said, like nobody me, but people forget that your customers are are your lifeblood. So you have to treat them accordingly. And I'm very hands-on with my business, so to this day, I mean, I don't think I'll ever not do that, where I'm like, if something like that happens, and we don't really have DOAs often at all. We haven't had any this year. But if something like that happens, I want to make sure, like, okay, that this is not common, and I want to make sure you're taken care of,
For sure.
because I don't want, if let's say you don't know anything about me and you just ordered a gecko online and you're already kind of skittish about the situation, and God forbid it gets delayed and the gecko dies and then you have this bad taste in your mouth. I want to make sure that no, this is not how it's supposed to be. I gotta
Sure.
correct this.
I
So
knew it wasn't your fault regardless. I knew it wasn't your fault from the beginning. UPS, they just, especially where I live, they show up when they want. I had a 10:30 a.m. delivery thing. This guy didn't come till God only knows what time. And I knew for a fact that it wasn't your fault, and it's just, my point was you could have been like, hey, listen, that's not on us. That's on UPS. Have them handle it. Your wife didn't do any of that. She said, okay, absolutely. And if I'm completely honest, I sent pictures, but I don't even think she asked me, right? Like she believed me, knew what happened. Well, I guess you could see the time the box was delivered or whatnot. But again, my whole point was is that it was a very unfortunate situation, a very rare situation to anybody out there. These aren't things that happen all the time. Very shitty where I live on my end, close to a city. These people do whatever they want. You're best off always picking your animals up from a hub, man. If you have the option to get your animals sent to a hub and pick them up from a hub, I've bought hundreds of animals at this point. I promise you, it's the best bet. Now, if a breeder will send them to your house and you're going to be there, it's a whole different situation. A good breeder will stay in contact with you about it, work with you, plan it, schedule it. But if you have the option to go pick it up, go pick your animals up. It's is what it is. So I like to talk about maybe, I really wanted people to see who you are and the amazing person that you are, and the impact you've made on certain people's lives in the hobby, and the things you continue to do for us out here. But what let's talk about some animals, man. What type of top secret stuff you've been working on with the new Cal stuff?
Oh, I wish I could tell you I'm working on an albino gecko or something, but no, I have certain like nothing like that nobody's ever seen before. I tend to post most of the stuff that I have going on social media or YouTube or whatever. I have some, incredible red gargoyle stuff coming up. I have, the White Boy Project, which is like a hypo or amelanistic
Yeah, man,
gargoyle
I'm super
gecko.
interested about that. I talked to Paul Morlock. I had Paul on here. Well,
Yeah,
you did an interview with him too. So I
yeah,
had Paul on here, and we were talking about that, man. And it's got me tripped out, man. I don't not big into guards. I have ape hair, but it's super interesting, man. And I'm hoping that between you guys, I know three of you that have them, you guys figure it out, man, because that's got me really, really interested. I'm curious, and I think something's gonna give with Garg soon. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a feel that I get, and the hobby gives me the animals give me a vibe that something's going to crack. When you start seeing a certain diversity or animals kind of changing along the way, I know something's going to pop soon.
yeah,
It's
and they've become so popular in the last year. Um,
because of
like on,
you, because of you.
I've been, working hard at promoting them just because they're just such an amazing animal. There's no reason they should be any less popular than a crested gecko. They honestly are even hardier and tougher than a crested gecko, and the colors are more vibrant in my opinion. But yeah, I absolutely love gargoyle geckos.
They are. They really are. You hit the nail right on the head. And it's like, I obviously co-host another podcast, and on there we're always talking, our main goal is trying to expose people to other geckos than crested geckos, right? Like we try to show and talk to breeders, and we talk about geckos that are from all over the world, right? Like, a lot of things people are always, and I'm not bashing New Caledonian geckos, it's 90% of my collection.
Yeah,
But people have it in their head like, if I want a pet gecko, I have to get a leopard gecko or a crested gecko, because these are the easy ones. They don't need lights, they don't need heat. Everybody gravitates towards these. But in reality, there's plenty of geckos out there, different species of geckos that are just as, if not easier, to keep.
yeah.
It's gargoyles in my eyes are one of them. Like I said, I went one way when I got started, but I could have very easily went the other way. And then they are tougher. They're to a degree cooler looking, man. It's hard to, their body structure. They're tougher, man. They're
Yeah. They
you
got
know they're
sharp
they're just more
teeth.
confident. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to tell people the truth, man. I have fed my gargoyles baby geckos, man, different geckos, live geckos. These jokers are meant to eat other geckos, bro. Like, if you've ever seen a garg eat a day gecko, or not day gecko, a house gecko or a morning gecko, Dude, that's what they're designed to do. Anything you look at in the wild, any type of biology papers, anything that you will read about them, or anyone that's been out there and observed gargoyles in New Caledonia, you know, they'll tell you. I mean, it's the truth, man. They're meant to eat other lizards. You there? Can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me or no? I can't hear you. It doesn't say you're muted. Is it maybe your headphones? Maybe your headphones dead or your headphones dead? Nothing? That sucks. That shit was going perfect too, bro. Can you hear me at all? Can you not hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me at all or not? Try. If I leave, it'll end. The shit was going good. We love. Guys, so sorry for the technical difficulties. We're having a hard time with our connections. Some storms brewing out there, fucking up the Wi-Fi's, fucking up the YouTubes. Let's see if we can get David back on, man. I mean, I don't know if I got the message across. Dude is an amazing human, man. Come from some really shitty situations and lifestyle that's definitely not desirable. And he's taken steps and turned his life into a dream of not just mine, but I know a dream of a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys want to build these empires like Tiki's geckos. I mean, Tiki's geckos is synonymous with New Caledonian geckos, man. I mean, he's living a lot of our dreams. And I hope that one thing everybody can get from the podcast and the recording is that it is achievable. It's achievable if you, one, have a passion and a willingness
Yeah.
to do some things. I hear you, brother.
Yeah, I hear you now.
Awesome. All right, I'm so sorry, dude. I don't know what the hell's happening. I'm
Uh,
freaking disaster. All
no.
right, so we're at an hour. We're over an hour anyway, man. I don't want to keep you all night, dude. I can't thank you enough for coming on. I'm gonna edit some of this stuff and put it together on the computer. Get
Yeah.
some of this
Did
technical difficulties out of here.
did my part download fully?
I don't know how to. I don't know how to see that until we end it. When I hit recording, you're seeing it because you're stopped recording. I never actually stopped recording yet. So when I stop, I got an hour and 13 minutes. It'll show me after. So when I end, just stay on for a minute, and then mine will upload once it's done recording, and I'll know in a minute.
Okay.
Um. So for everyone out there, again, thank you for watching. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I hope you guys see this. I hope you guys see how special David is for this hobby and the things that he's done for us and the opportunities he's given us and the footsteps that he's laid for us to follow in. If you're not following him, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Check him out on all platforms. Go support the Gold Standard Gecko Club. Show David some love, man. He deserves this. He has earned this. This is, you know, again, his world, man, that he is sharing with us. And I hope you guys out there see the importance and significance of what this man does. Is there anything you want to promote, David? Anything you want to let the people know, the viewers know before we go?
Well, thing is social media is Tiki's Geckos, obviously, but if you don't know about the Gold Standard Gecko Club yet, I highly suggest checking it out. I think it's, a fun new kind of like confirmation competition for our geckos, and I think a lot of people are gonna get a kick out of it. So check that out. You probably already know Tiki's Geckos, but you maybe don't know about the Gold Standard Gecko Club. So check that out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the website.
Where are you vending any shows? If anybody wants to come and buy a gecko from you, how would people purchase animals from you?
So the best way is through our website. We are vending the Flora Fauna Conference here in May, but as Gold Standard Gecko Club, we're going to do that competition. So if anybody's interested in joining that, DM us on Instagram. But we will be vending the Daytona Reptile Breeder Expo in August here in Daytona in Florida. We'll be there selling geckos. Other than that, we're mostly doing Palm Streets and online sales on our website.
Are you doing a Palm Street? I don't know how the hell have I missed that one. Damn.
Yeah,
I didn't know you
yeah,
were on Palm Street. That's cool.
yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
like Palm Street, man? Yeah, I'm trying to. How do you like Palm Street? You like the platform?
Oh, it's awesome, dude. I love Palm Street.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was on there pretty early because my friend Gabby, she was the original one, I think, that hop on there and talk to them and got that thing started. So I got on pretty early, and now I see everybody on Palm Street. But it's
Yeah, man. Veronica reached out to me. Veronica, I had to go through this whole process, but I try to tell her, like, yes, I have these animals, but I'm not really trying to sell them. Like, I'm not a seller, you know? So
yeah,
I followed the thing. I went and did the onboarding thing, I did. I just haven't hopped on there, but I hear
yeah,
mixed feedback, unfortunately. But that's like everything in life, you know. Some
nah,
people love
yeah,
it, some people don't like the fees, whatever. But from my point of view, from a consumer's point of view, I think it's freaking awesome, man. It's an awesome opportunity for guys like you to, you don't have to dump animals. It's not like people have this misconception that guys are going out there and just dumping pet quality animals, or sellers have to go on there and sell their animals for pet quality prices. You don't. You can stick to your ground and stick to your
yeah.
prices and sell quality animals for good numbers. Like
Hey,
it's cool.
that's why I love capitalism because at the
Oh,
end of the day,
yes.
at the end of the day, whatever you feel an animal is worth, if you pay for it, then that's what the animal's worth for you. And if that's what you want to sell your animal for, then that's what you want to sell your animal for. And nobody could tell you to do this or do that. It's up to you. So
Uh,
it's like anything else in life. If it depends on your perspective and how you're looking at things. If you're looking at this as a problem, oh, it's lowering prices and all these things, then you're already looking at it the wrong way. There's different, you know, you got to look at things from, like you said earlier, there's like a challenge or something changes, so you got to adjust to it. That's all.
yeah, for sure. So how I don't know if you mentioned it and I just missed it. How if somebody wants to get involved in the Gold Standard Gecko Club, if someone's going to come to Flora Fauna or maybe later on in the year down in Daytona, how would someone register to get their animals in the Gold Standard Gecko Club? What are your qualifications and how would someone go about saying, "Hey, I have an animal I think's the best in the world. How do I get it?"
Okay, so you have to be present. Well, not necessarily you, but your animal has to be present at the show because we have to judge it in person. If you want to register or you want to find more information about it, you could check out our website or just DM me on Instagram at Gold Standard Gecko Club. But very, quickly, you depending on the animal has to be at least 18 months old. It has to be an animal that you produced. It has to be an animal that is 45 grams. If it has a tail, actually, for the crested geckos, is at least 40 grams with a tail and at least 35 grams without a tail. So, that's pretty, I think, fair. Doesn't have to be like uh, a massive, ginormous gecko, but at least 40 grams because we want to judge all these geckos on an adult at adult size. Maybe in the future we'll do like judging juveniles and things like that. But for the most part, when we look at animals, um, at 18 months old, 40 grams of age, we kind of know that's basically how they're gonna look. They're not gonna develop more
Right.
than that. So, yeah, and of course, there's it can't have certain things like deformed back or kind of like common sense stuff. But it's not if you think that your animal is worth competing, shoot me a message, um, and we could talk and we could get you all the registry forms and all that so you could fill out and hopefully you could maybe win one of these things.
Okay. There you go. Damn, I'm coming from one someday, man. I'm not ready yet, but I'm promised I'm gonna have one someday.
Let's go.
That's awesome. That's so cool, man. So we're gonna come to an end here, man. I always ask my guests the same question, not to be offensive or that I couldn't come up with other question, but it's kind of like the principle of this. I have a passion for children. I have a passion for children learning and giving children information and guiding them, right? As men, as adults in this world, it is our obligation to protect our next generation. Whether it's your kid, the next man's kid, we protect these children. We look out for these children. If a child came up to you at a show, a 10-year-old kid, boy, girl, whatever, comes up to you at a show and says, "Wow, David, you're my hero, man. I want to do what you do one day. I want to grow up and be just like you." What advice would you give a 10-year-old kid that wanted to be you?
Man, I just advise him or her to feed that passion to believe in themselves, because it sounds like cliche and corny and stuff, but it really is all about mindset. It really is all about how you envision things. And if you don't think you could do it, then you won't. But if you think you can do it, then you likely will if you don't ever stop believing it and you don't
Hell yeah.
and you work towards it. And it's so it sounds so simplistic, but it really is. It really is that simple. Now, it's not easy, but the premise of it is very simple. You know what you have to do. You know you have to, you know, feed your animals every day, post on social media. The thing, it's not rocket science. You just have to do it. You have to have the mindset of, I'm going to do this any way possible. So my first, my advice to that person, that kid would be, believe, but be ready to work.
That's awesome. It's great advice, man. It's great advice. It's the key to everything in life is first and foremost believing in yourself, man. Believing in yourself. Beautiful advice, man. So again, I can't thank you enough for coming here, man. I mean, hopping on this, small podcast with an unknown name, man. I mean, it really, really shows your character, man. I mean, you give everyone an opportunity, and I'll never be able to thank you enough for the things that you've done for my life personally. And it was a complete honor having you on here. I'm literally speechless, and it's almost like a dream. Like I said, when I started this venture, I had a list of people that I dreamed I would have on here, and you literally today just made one of my dreams and goals come true. And I mean, I'm internally indebted to you for that, man. I can't thank you enough for your time. I know how valuable it is. I know you're a father now. I know you have lots of things to do. For you to take this time out for me again really shows your character, man, and I appreciate you. It was great getting to know who you are as a human, how you got to the place you are with your business, your empire. We could have sat here and talked about geckos for hours, and I think you do that enough, and anyone that follows you does. And I just really wanted people to see who you are, who David is. And you did a great job of showing us who you are, what you do, how you got there. Again, I can't thank you enough, bro. I mean, it's a complete honor.
Thanks,
Um,
Anthony, brother. Thank you. It.
with that being said, guys, catch you on the flip side, man. Stay weird, everybody. All right, dude. I honestly, bro, I can't thank you enough, bro. I mean, you didn't have to do this, man, and I think it was great. Again, not that people really need to see this, but again, I want my goal is I want people to meet the breeders, right? Like I want people to see, and it makes people feel comfortable from a business standpoint. If you get to feel like you know the person you're buying from, it makes it more intimate, right? Like, and people put out these brands and these names and these companies, but how often do you get to meet the man behind the logo? And I you did good. I mean, not that you need me to say it. I mean, you know what you do, but I think that it was awesome, bro.
Thanks,
Let me
brother.
see. I don't know. I want to check and see if this if it uploaded or it didn't. I don't know how to.
Stop the recording, though. You got to stop the recording.
Oh shit, dude! I thought it stopped. Damn. Is it still? It is stopped. No,
uh,
it's not. What the fuck is?
yeah. To me, it says it's still going.